All right, so let's continue. So we've got our persistent scene done, our menu screen, and now let's go to scenes and open our game. And we're going to set up our UI for this. So the first thing that we're going to need is a UI panel. And in the image for that panel, we're going to set the alpha to opaque. And we're going to choose a nice sort of turquoisey, greeny color for our background. And this is going to be called question panel. So this is going to be displayed while we're in question asking mode. And we're going to add a UI text to it, which is going to be question display. And this is going to be larger and white. And we are going to stretch it. And I'm going to manually set the anchors so that it takes up a good sort of upper third of the screen here. And then I'm going to pull the rect in a little bit to give it a little pixel offset from the edges. Let's do 32 on each side so it's not right butted up there. And this will be question text. Then also attached to this, we're going to have another panel which is going to have no image component. We can actually remove the image component. This we're just using for a rect. And this is going to start down here. And again, we're going to give it a little offset, line it up with the question box. And this is going to be where we're going to display our answers. So this is going to be the answer panel. This, because we might have different numbers of buttons being displayed here. Oh, and actually, wait a minute. This should not be up here. This should be down here. There we go. So this is going to use what's called a vertical layout group. So we're going to add component, go to layout, and select vertical layout group. What the vertical layout group will do is arrange any child elements, any child UI elements vertically. So if we add a button and hold down the Alt key and center it on our panel, we can see that it stretches to fit the entire panel. If we have more than one, they will divide the space equally. So useful little sort of automatic layout tool for if you have multiple layout elements. So in this case, we're going to set up our default answer button here. Let's call this answer button. And this, let's make the text a little bigger. We'll make it 20. And we will, that should be fine. Okay, and the next thing that we're going to need is some text to display our UI, the score, and the time left. So we're going to add another panel here, a UI panel. Again, we're going to lose the image element, and we're just going to put this up here at the top of our question panel. And this is going to have two child objects. It's going to have a UI text that is also going to be 20 point white and is going to be aligned in the upper right corner. And this is going to be time 0. And then we will duplicate it and offset it down. And this is going to be score 0. So these are going to display, and actually let's move both of these down a little bit so they're not so hard up in that corner. All right. So these are going to display our countdown and the player's current score total. And we'll call this panel UI. And each of these are going to be score display and Oh, I flipped it. This one's score display. This is time display. Okay, and then we need one other piece of UI here, which is that a panel that's going to be displayed when the round is over. So that pink screen that we saw. So what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate our question panel, and we're going to call it round over panel. And the question display will just center, change it to all caps, round over. We'll delete the answer panel and the button, change the color of the round over panel to a lovely purple, and add a generic button, which we are going to label menu to take us back to the menu. Okay, and this will be menu button. And this, and let's put the UI below it so that it can be displayed in front of it, right on top of it, so you can see your score and your time when the round ends. This is going to be deactivated by default, and then we're going to reactivate the game object when it's time to display it and deactivate the question panel. Okay. Before we're done setting up the scene, we're going to need one more game object, or two more actually. The first is going to be our game controller. Just like in our other screens, we're going to have a controller object here. And we're also going to have an object pool, which is going to be the answer button object pool. Now, I'll talk about the object pooling in a moment. Before I do, let's take a quick look at the chat and see how everybody's doing.